I think we can do a lot better to take on many of Seattle's real public safety challenges.
Scott Lindsay's jump into the city attorney's race, less than a month before the filing deadline, came as a surprise to some. But he says the issues he wants to tackle, from car prowls to drug crimes, shouldn't catch anyone off guard.
We need a coordinated plan for how to take on frequent low-level offenders who are right now cycling through our criminal justice system.
Lindsay, a public safety advisor to former Mayor Ed Murray, was the only person to run against Holmes, thus going right to the general election. Lindsay has raised about $115,000 for his campaign through late September and is not using Seattle's newly voter-approved, publicly funded democracy vouchers. He's endorsed by the Seattle Times, the Seattle Firefighters Union, IAFF 27, and 5 past or present co-chairs of the Community Police Commission, the group providing public input on the SPD's ongoing work toward police accountability. That commission, also known as the CPC, was established during Pete Holmes' second term as part of a federal consent decree process to change how Seattle officers use force. Lindsay says he helped make the CPC a permanent part of community-based policing earlier this year.
I worked with the Community Police Commission to actually get the draft the original legislation to reform and institutionalize real, robust civilian oversight.
Lindsay has criticized Holmes for overspending money to hire outside legal counsel. Also, Lindsay says, Seattle doesn't have enough programs to deliver treatment instead of jail time to those who commit low-level crimes.
That means disrupting that activity and disrupting the root causes of criminal behavior, often addiction and sometimes associated with homelessness.
On homeless issues, Lindsay caused a stir a few months ago when he published a draft of Councilmember Mike O'Brien's proposal to offer safe parking areas for people living in vehicles.
I was proud to speak up and say, this is the wrong direction.
Lindsay, who helped launch the city's Safe RV parking program in 2016, later abandoned amid rising costs, says he thought O'Brien's approach was problematic.
Let's do the right thing here and invest in strategies that get people out of homelessness, not strategies that are Band-Aids that hold them in vehicles.
Regardless of the merits of O'Brien's proposal, Pete Holmes says Lindsay made a poor choice.
I have disagreed with city council members and mayors, and it's important that you know how to voice that dissent.
Holmes says Lindsay's move to leak O'Brien's draft ordinance is ethically questionable and also counterproductive to the city's efforts to help people living on the street.
If you're simply throwing red meat to angry people, you're not going to have good decision making.
Holmes was first elected as city attorney in 2009 and ran unopposed in 2013. Through late September, Holmes has raised about $127,000 for his re-election bid, which includes roughly $68,000 worth of democracy vouchers. Holmes is endorsed by Teamsters Joint Council 28, Seattle Mayor Tim Burgess, and all but one member of the Seattle City Council, plus one Community Police Commission co-chair, Isaac Ruiz, who endorsed both candidates.
A lot of the CPC members understand where I'm coming from.
Holmes says he's disappointed he was not endorsed by all the CPC's co-chairs, but adds, the commission's very existence is under legal attack by the police unions. That's one big reason why Holmes says he needs to stay in office, to shepherd home the federal consent decree process he negotiated on the city's behalf in 2012.
We do not have contracts that support reform, and until we have that, I'm going to make certain that the city of Seattle makes the most of this time under federal supervision.
Holmes has been an attorney for more than 30 years and served on the first committee to ever provide civilian oversight for the SPD.
I have a lot more work to do.
Holmes was also a primary sponsor of I-502, which voters approved to legalize recreational marijuana in our state 5 years ago. As a frequent critic of the war on drugs, Holmes is concerned his opponents' promises to disrupt criminal activity in Seattle would simply create another battle for law enforcement.
When we fall back into the old tried and failed policy of using a criminal law hammer for homelessness and opioid addiction and mental health problems, we're going to find we're wasting money and the problem is going to continue to get worse.
Well, you be the judge. Do we need a new city attorney?
We can do better. That's why I'm running.
Or should we keep the current leader of the city's law department?
Continuity in this office is so vitally critical.
It's time for voters to weigh in November 7th.